Does your website need more traffic? Well, visit overflowcafe.com today. They make websites popular, and over 41,000 people use their service to gain more customers. They are winning at business. What about you? Visit overflowcafe.com today.
Hi, this is your girl T with Rockefeller's Barbershop, located at 1733 Babcock in San Antonio, Texas. Whether you're looking for a haircut, a shave, braids, dreads, weaves, color, we do it all here at Rockefeller's. You can hit me up at 210-884-9046. That's for call or text. And on Facebook and Instagram at Takesha Williams. That's TAKESHIA Williams. And you're listening to us now on I Am Refocused podcast on iHeartRadio.
You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast special edition with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune in into today's podcast.
This is I Am Refocused podcast, and today we have an awesome show. But before we get right to it, I want to thank our sponsors real quick. First on the list, man, I want to thank Rico Rodriguez. He's the owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop. Y'all know by now that's the place we are. On Thursdays, we do the podcast recording, and also Miss Kim, River City Donuts, the best donuts in town, San Antonio. Baby McClinton, all sports speed and conditioning. You can visit his website, check out his portfolio with all the NBA players and NFL players he's trained. That is allsportsfitness.net. Also want to give a big thank you to D.W. Brooks Funeral Home. And last but not least, want to give overflowcafe.com a big huge shout out. If your business need more traffic for their website, they have over 41,000 clients strong. So make sure you go to overflowcafe.com. So today we have an awesome guest. Her name is Victoria, and she is founder of Munchkids.com. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So this website, moneymunchkids.com, it teaches kids from K to third grade financial literacy. So tell us a little backdrop of how did you come up with this program, and, you know, what has been the goal for this platform?
Awesome. Absolutely. So when I first got the idea was about 6 years ago. And I have a 12-year-old brother myself, and I know a lot of people with children. And I just started kind of seeing kids, even like really, really young kids, like 4 or 5 years old, pretending to buy things at the store when we'd go out with their parents. And, you know, even my brother was starting to talk about money. And so I started doing some research, and I found out that there are a lot of companies out there that are teaching children or I guess teenagers financial education out in high school and in middle school. And when I started looking at the optimal age, because of course I wanted to teach my little brother as to when to teach children about money and financial education, I actually found out that most children develop financial habits, and in fact most habits, as young as 5 years old. And so the thought process was kind of like, well, if they can already learn and they're developing these habits, why aren't we teaching them? And I started digging and trying to find other companies to see if someone was doing this for that age group. And I couldn't find anyone that had like a good, reliable product. And I was like, this is a problem. You know, financial education is very important because we use money in our everyday lives. It's such a massive factor of our lives. How can we not start teaching them as early as they can start learning, particularly finance? It's so complicated. And they really need that foundation so that later on in their lives, when it comes to complex concepts, they'll be able to have that foundation. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it.
That is awesome. And you, with your background, you have been an entrepreneur since when? Tell our audience.
Pretty much my entire life. Actually, my first business, I'm not sure if it's actually on the website, but my first business was when I was about 5, 6 years old myself. I was very crafty, and I liked making jewelry. And so I made some and sold them as a child. And I remember my first business lesson was that I learned was that, make sure to get paid immediately, because I had some friends, I remember as a kid, because I remember her mom got mad at her. She had purchased one of my jewelry. I think it was earrings, if I remember correctly. And I remember I got mad at her, and our friendship as like a little child ended, which was also happening my first ending of friendships. Tough lesson there too, where she didn't pay me, and I got really upset because, as a kid, you get really upset about stuff like that.
That's pretty awesome.
So I've been doing my own businesses and working with business and also marketing since as far back as I can remember.
That's very awesome that you had that kind of mindset at that age. What inspired you other than just being a go-getter? Like, did you see somebody else as an entrepreneur, or did you read a book? Did someone read a book to you? Because at age 4 or 5, man, that's a pretty young age to start thinking about Benjamins and transactions. Like, that's pretty awesome. What got you going at that age?
Well, I actually come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad's an entrepreneur, and we had a lot of friends who were also entrepreneurs or had their own businesses or similar projects like that. And I was a bit of a nerd, and I loved Star Trek for as long as I can remember. And I loved one of the characters, the species, they're Ferengi, and they're all about money. So I was also, I said, what, I'm making these things, I'm going to sell them. I had that influence from my parents and from their friends and from popular culture. And I decided to, sell something, because there's only so many earrings you can make for yourself, or so many bracelets and necklaces as a child. And then you just start looking like a hoarder. And I mean, it's a very fancy hoarder, but it's still a hoarder. Yeah. And so I started selling them. And I just remember I really enjoyed it, and I loved. I always love aspects of business. Business is very interesting to me, and I've always really connected with the entrepreneur spirit, I guess.
And for the little kids who are in part of this program, Munchkids.com, what are some of their first curiosities? What's some of the first questions that they ask you about finances?
Most kids, they get introduced with money, obviously as a young child, and this is pretty apparent to anyone who's been a parent, sees their children, they start asking like, oh, can you buy this for me? Can you, can I have this? And when parents or adults reply that, no, we don't have the money for it, they're like, why? Why don't you just go get some money? And they don't quite understand like how money works in our economy, where it comes from, that you have to work for it. And so that's really one of the first steps that we teach them, that, things cost money, which they generally already get because they're introduced to their parents purchasing things, and that the money just doesn't, basically fall from the sky. It comes from somewhere. Parents work for it. And we also teach kids, very similar to my own personal story, how they can earn money as children.
It would be very awesome. Money can fall off the sky in trees, because imagine the scenery outside, man. Man, I'll be out there.
Make some great Instagram pictures.
Man, shoot. You talking about being on work break at 12 noon. I'll be the first one in line out there. But when it comes to the young kids, what's some of the things that sparks them as far as what they would like to do to earn money? Have that ever been a dialogue, or is it more strictly financial responsibilities and discipline that you go over?
So we have a course that we teach. It's like an after school course or a camp that we go to schools or recreation centers. And in that camp, we do teach them that there are different ways, and we give them some ideas. We actually have a little story about it with one of our characters, about how they're looking to the character Logan, if anyone wants to go look at the characters, is trying to earn money so that he can buy this toy. There's only going to be so many of them available at the local store, and he really wants one. And so he's talking with one of the other characters about different things that he can do, like recycle, or go get some recycling from some of his neighbors who maybe don't recycle, or help someone do a yard sale, or clean, or other things that they can do as a child. And we teach that in class and give them the opportunity with like a list as to go off and do it at home to extend that learning. And a lot of kids do come back with full sheets saying that they did a variety of the different tasks that we had, and we leave spots open. One of my favorites was one kid put on a puppet show for their local friends and family. And instead of actually keeping the money, because this was so cute, they donated the money. They charged each person $1 to come to the show, and they donated the money, which is also something we teach. We teach them about charity and donation, and as well as other financial concepts in general, and kind of let them, like this child, take the path that they want to and explore their financial personality.
I love this one section about talking about how adults, we seem to sometimes fall into our temptations, and AKA not knowing the difference of a want and need, because it's very hard to balance even as an adult. You know, you got bills, but then, you know, Burger King tap on your door and it's like, oh, I want some hot fries. And, you know, that's very good to, that you teaching them discipline. What's some of the core disciplines that you teach kids to balance and have a budget? What's some of the things you guys go over just to start out?
It's very interesting that you asked that, because it's actually one of the, I would say, the core of what we teach in general, which is really critical thinking about money. A lot of people think financial education, they think adding and math, and what we really teach, particularly at such a young level, is to get the children thinking about their decisions and their choices, and to think about money and what the kind of choices they want to make. So like you said, we do go over needs and wants. We actually go through the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you want to get really psychological about it. And we teach the kids to identify like what's really important, what is the necessities of life versus what is a want. And we call, wants are fancy versions of needs. Like maybe you would like to have Burger King and get the fries, but you really just need food. So maybe an apple is fine.
Yeah, groceries, some regular groceries.
Yeah, exactly. And so that same concept comes with budgeting. One of the activities we do is that they have to choose between the different types of living arrangements, mode of transport, and things in their lives as like one of the interactive activities. And we kind of make that into a bit of a relay race in our course. That is also some of the things that is taught in our activity books as well. We do have a budget sheet. Can't do the relay race, but you can have them make those decisions at home where they decide, how much is, the rent going to be, or how much is the groceries going to be, and go through that and make those decisions and kind of hypothesize with them as to what would their dream life be like, which is really fun with kids because they have some crazy imaginations.
And they're just unfiltered. Like they will tell you what's up. And if you don't like it, they not even thinking about that. They're just telling you how it is. And people listening to this, parents, I have a strong feeling they too secretly going to be learning a lot from this episode. So let's involve everybody in this camp. Everybody's invited to listen in on this. When it comes to budgeting, what's the number one problem that you see from someone who just kind of spends until they see the bank account reaching red light, danger?
Ooh, I would say one of the number one problems is that most adults don't even have a budget.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, it's really bad. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it is, I think it's like 58 or something like that. 58%. It's a majority of adults do not have a budget, any sort of budget established. And so we do actually have a free budget sheet download on our site. We post it on our Facebook sometimes, where it's very simple and is child friendly as well, where, just go through and outline what your costs are and see if there's any wiggle room or if there's an area where you didn't realize that you were even spending that much. And that is, I think, the key concept for a lot of adults is to just actually pay attention to what they're spending, where they're spending it, because sometimes maybe you think you're only spending, and this happened to me. I thought I was only spending like $200 a month on groceries, and I decided to get fit and healthy, and gosh darn it, the bill went up. I started buying all the, much more vegetables, and more when you have things that can go bad, you end up, purchasing them more frequently, for example, and yes, it also helps you save on maybe medical costs. And that's where you can kind of like look at your budget, how see one thing affects another. If you're being healthier, maybe your produce goes up, but maybe your medical costs go down, or you go walking instead of going to the gym, and figure out what your budget is.
That's a very good tip with fitness, because there's a lot of exercises you can do at the home that can give you the same similar results to the gym. And I'm just going to make this disclaimer. I'm not a financial fitness expert, so let me put that out there. I'm not ever getting advice like that, man. Go see your doctor.
Absolutely. And I mean, you have to find experts. And that's also another thing, that if someone does have money that maybe they're putting away into a savings account, maybe they should talk to a financial expert as well to see how they can utilize those extra funds as well. And
I hate to take it from the kids, because I've kind of given these parents a lot of golden nuggets. So just one more for the parents, man. Is it really a smart idea to, like, say you take something out of your paycheck and you put a few dollars in another account? Is that a great starting point for people who just, getting started, so they don't do nothing drastic, like put half their paycheck somewhere?
I would say any money that you can put aside, any chance that you can, anything you can do to start saving is best, because another fun little fact, 2/3 of adults have less than $500 in their savings. And that's what I do know exactly.
I know, and that's
that's a big problem, because if something happens, you blow a tire or something like that, having that emergency fund there, maybe you forget, something happens and you forget to pay the credit card bill, and now there's a fee on it. Life happens, and having that backup, that safety net, even if it's a small safety net, is better than nothing.
You really hit it on the head, though. I think a lot of us like playing that risk. Like, let me run this yellow light. It's not going to turn red.
Exactly.
Now, going back to the kiddos. So how long again has this platform been around again?
We've been in business about 5 years.
And with your marketing at such a young age, having that experience building up, how has it been getting the word out? Have people been responding really fast, word of mouth, or have you found yourself doing a lot of social media marketing and interviews on news and stuff like that? How has your marketing game paid off so far?
Well, that's a little mixed, actually, because prior to our official date of opening, I spent about a year doing research myself and working with contractors and professional teachers as well to create our system and how we teach children. And then we also spent the first few years of our company life continuing that research and refining those products to make, and our course and our retail products and our curriculum, to make sure that it is the best quality product on the market to teach children financial education. So our start was a little slow, because I'm very proud of our product. I think it truly is one of the best out there, and I put it up against anybody else. But in addition to that, I also am professionally trained as a marketer, and despite that, I think that our growth has been pretty good. And on the other note is I love being, knee deep in the marketing. I really enjoy doing it because I love marketing aspects. I love people. And so maybe I'm enjoying it a little bit too much and wanting to be out there, really, because I do a lot of the events myself as well. We go to a lot of community events and are very active in the community. So I think we've had a lot of great response. And we are waiting for that perfect moment, because things that right now are changing a lot, especially with school systems. And we are getting ready to bring our products into school systems, actually. So,
and speaking of school systems, what you think has been the response, or maybe potential response, for maybe homeschool kids? Parents might see this as an option of another resource, like, this would be awesome. Economics class, aka financial class. Mm-hmm. What do you think the potential is for there? Because that might be an option.
It's actually really good because we're actually coming out with a homeschool curriculum, and we're going to be going out to a couple of events this year for homeschool families. Every time I've spoken to parents, I think probably 100%, I could say without too much exaggeration, maybe 90% if you want to be realistic, a parent will automatically respond with something along the lines of, this is such a great idea, and why don't they teach this in schools? And do you have something that I could use at home? This is so important, et cetera. And that's what really prompted us to create the homeschool curriculum, which is coming out in June. And so we saw that market, and when we started talking to schools, we realized that this same material could be used and adapted to the homeschooling families, particularly because a lot of homeschooling parents are very aware that this is not taught in schools, and a lot of homeschool parents start homeschooling because they want to teach their children things that aren't taught in schools, and so this is perfect for them.
Man, I can see this in senior retirement clubs too. I mean,
oh yeah.
It's money affects all ages, and it's very smart to catch them when they're young, because that's very, very important for them to understand. Because when life happens and you start having bills and no one's ever taught you how to budget or manage, a lot of times you see that plastic card and you go crazy. So what's the difference, just for, the younger kids who might be listening to the parents, what's the difference between the debit and the credit?
Oh, we love that one. That's the best. We have that display for debit and credit cards at all of our events. So the debit card is, to say it how we say it in our class, is a card that tells the store where your money is in your bank and what account that is your account to take the money out from, as opposed to someone else's account or a different bank. While a credit card, and that's your money. That is your money that you put in your bank account at your bank. A credit card, you're borrowing money from a credit card company. And just like when we borrow a toy or anything else, you have to give it back. And you usually say thank you. And so how you say thank you to a credit card company is you give them extra money, and that's called interest.
Oh, don't most people know about that interest, man? Because it's one of them things, if you miss a payment, you give more thank you shout to them.
That's right. If you forget to give something back, you might have to say thank you a couple times.
Yeah, they love that. Just don't do it too many times, because collections.
Then they're not going to let you borrow anything anymore.
And then it ruins your credit. I mean,
we don't teach about credit. It's too young to teach them about credit scores.
Yeah, that was a little point for the college students,
adults.
Man. But this episode is really fun, man. I really enjoy this, man. When it comes to tips for parents trying to kind of give their kids experience, because to be honest, I think after the kids take this class, they'd be teaching the parents more so than the other way around. What's some of the tips that you would have, though, for parents who want to be on the same bar as far as being able to talk to the kids about financial responsibility and management and discipline? What's some of the tips that you give to them so that they can stay on growing, increasing in confidence talking to their kids?
Well, I would first say that the biggest hurdle is for parents to actually talk to their kids about money, because a lot of parents I find are afraid to, or they don't want to, because they don't want to say the words, I don't know. And if you don't know, it's fine. And it just gives you an opportunity to have that learning moment with your child, which is even better. Because then you're having that dialogue with your child about money. They become less afraid of it because they see that you're not afraid to not know. Because finance is very complicated, and there's always going to be aspects of finance. As you get older, you need to consider different things about your financial situation, and you may not have needed those prior. If you're just going into a job, maybe you have a 401k, and you suddenly have to understand what 401k is, and you've never known that before. So having that dialogue and allowing those learning moments with your children, and then obviously if you want to be able to speak to your children with knowledge, and you should go and try to learn a little bit yourself. And there are tons of free resources to do so. In fact, we have a resource section on our website that has a section for parents for themselves and a section for parents for their kids, so that they can send their kids there to play some games or do some activities in regards to financial education. And then there's a section there where they can go that has links to some good articles and websites where they can learn a little bit more about financial education. And we also have our own blog where we put financial education articles that tend to be child friendly. So you can have that learning moment with your child on our website, reading some of our blog articles. We actually have needs versus wants. I believe that just recently went up. It was an article. And, you know, those are some great resources if you just take a minute to look around.
And a quick question. I was kind of scrolling through the website a little bit. Mm-hmm. What if someone had a question? How do they enroll? Do they have to be there local in California, or can they actually find a way to have access to this course online? Or is that something that hasn't been available just yet?
So we have a couple of things going on. As I said, we do have the course, as you mentioned, and our courses are generally local to Los Angeles County, California. We are expanding, so if anyone is interested in starting a course in your area, you can feel free to contact us through the website because we do want to try to teach as many kids as possible. However, if you're trying to start educating your child and you've gone through the resources section and you don't have a course in your area, we have retail books and home activity kits, not cats, kits for parents to purchase on our website. And as I mentioned, we are coming out with that homeschool curriculum that's going to be coming out in June.
And so what would you say is the goal for Money Munch? I almost said Munchers. Money
It's a
Munch
tongue-tied day.
You know what happens when you get hungry and you just start thinking about Scooby snacks? That's what happens.
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
Not technically, I'm just being funny. But when it comes to Money Munch Kids, what is the vision, some of the short-term goals you would like to see for, summer, fall, and towards the end of this year?
I would actually like us to be a little further across California. As I said, we're working on expanding. We are right now looking into San Diego as well as a couple of out-of-state locations, and I can't disclose those yet. Mm-hmm. But we are working on those as well, and just trying to really educate as many kids as possible, putting more educational content out there. There might be a game, cough, cough, coming out on our site. Okay. And as well as obviously our homeschool curricula that's going to be coming out. And actually, just making sure that people on the East Coast as well and in middle of the country and East Coast also know about Money Munch Kids and that we do exist and are here to help you educate your kids, because we've got a pretty good presence on the West Coast, but middle and East, not quite yet.
Oh, it'll be okay. I mean, you make a mobile app, boom, there you go.
Yeah. I said, cough, cough, game.
Well, it's already taken, guys. Don't even try it. Don't even play that. But what's awesome is this is brilliant, because the whole secret sauce of entrepreneurship is fulfilling a need. And obviously this financial need, educational wise, is very strong. And what's awesome is like everybody's birthday. There's always someone who's going to have a birthday, and there's always going to be someone who's going to have money issues, whether it's predestined or just oops, life happens to you. What's some financial principles that you would just like to give out to our listeners who are listening? Like, man, I'm not a kid, but you know what? I need some of that very good advice. What's some sound wisdom you like to give people, financial principles they can hold on to?
I'm going to actually start with one that I've been trying to do better with myself, which is don't be afraid of money. A lot of times we're afraid of looking at our own budgets and kind of seeing some places where we've messed up. And you know what? Everyone messes up. So it's okay. Instead of avoiding it, go and take a look at it and see how you can fix it. And if you have money and you don't know what to do with it, as far as, maybe putting it in a savings account or trying to invest it, don't be afraid. Don't let that stagnate you. Go and ask for help, whether that's advice from someone that you trust or advice from an expert. Being able to say, I don't know everything, or maybe I made a mistake, is I think the biggest thing that can help you in general with a lot of concepts, but also in money. I see a lot of people who are afraid to talk about money and to even do their own budget.
That's very good advice, because as we all know, more money, more problems, but no money, man, that's a big problem. Financial success is something that we all should strive to do. And in closing this program, I wish we had like another 30 minutes. What's something that parents, college students, for example, we take out a huge loan and debt from the jump. What's some habits that they can form once they're out of college and they're trying to recoup from, getting ready to start paying that monthly bill to pay off their student loan debt?
It's actually funny. It was one of the reasons that I started Money Munchkids, actually. Besides the children that I knew, I had fellow college students, college graduates who one of them didn't know that they had a credit score or what it was, and I was baffled. And many of my friends didn't really have control on their bank accounts, or as far as like knowing what was going on, or even begin to understanding their student loans. And I would say that is one of the first steps, particularly as a student coming out with student loans. Really take the time to go and understand them if you have your student loans, because being able to know things like your interest rate, like you mentioned before, some people don't realize what their interest rate is on their credit cards. Some people don't know what their interest rate is on their student loans. So for example, if you have some federal student loans, they tend to be at a very decent interest rate by comparison to a credit card. And so sometimes instead of maybe paying that off, it might be a smarter choice to pay off a credit card with a high interest rate, or something else that has a high interest rate if you're getting a really good interest rate on your student loans. Just know your terms, know what it is you're getting into or what you've gotten yourself into. Because if you don't know, then you can't do anything about it.
That's very true. That's very true, because credit cards are monsters if you let it get out of hand. And yeah, a lot of college students can relate to that. Now, before we close the show, how can people stay in touch with you and also follow your platform online?
Absolutely. Well, we're very simple. All you have to do is go to Money, that's MONEY, Munchkids, so it's Munch, MUNCHKIDS.com. That's our website, moneymunchkids.com, and you can find us on basically every social media platform by just looking up Money Munchkids. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a small profile on Pinterest. We're out there, and we're on YouTube as well. So we have a lot of great content, a lot of social media platforms, and just a little bit of a tidbit for your followers. On Facebook, we actually do giveaways, monthly giveaways, free raffles that you can enter for fungicational prizes for your family and your kids.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Well, y'all need to go out there and support Victoria and her awesome platform, moneymunchkids.com. Don't let the opportunity slip away, because I think this is something that everybody who joins and signs their kids up will very much so benefit from this. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, and I just want to say best wishes to you and your platform, and hopefully it explodes globally to where it's in different languages. That would be awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Actually, I did forget to mention we do have our books translated in Spanish.
Oh, well, see, it's just confirmation. You shout out. That's amazing how life just works. It's just confirmation. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, now.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, ma'am. And hopefully it'll be in French next year, or this, fall. I'm going to have to bring you back, because I really think this educational piece is very great for the culture and just for everybody in general, because this financial stuff is global. It's not just your city or your state or your country. It's around the world. And I don't ever want to close this broadcast like I always do, guys. Keep God first, stay focused, and peace. And check out what Victoria is doing, because it's awesome. Peace out, y'all.